Hello, YouTube viewers. Thank you for tuning in today. I just wanted to provide us with some food for thought on a couple of things, if you'll entertain it. Is anybody else out there getting a bit fed up with seeing blatant oppression happening, with the constant bullying, and with the ease with which people are stealing from one another, where others feel unhindered when stealing other people's light, their rights, their dignity, and in some cases their homes? I'm brought to mind the way we are in the West here, and I'm sure there's European and Asian examples. But here in the West, we historically are known to have taken the homes of people like the Native or First Nation and Inuit folks. History is replete, of course, with conquering heroes, and it all just depends on which side of might that your bread is graciously buttered on. It boils down to perspective. First Nation peoples have had many of their homes taken by any number of countries, including the French, the British, American, and even the polite Canadians. There's a parallel that can be seen even more recently in the aggressive annexation attempt of the Ukraine. Stealing homes, stealing land, stealing lives, using might for might's sake, even against the remaining civilian population. Now, the same could be said of China with Taiwan, or historically many of China's previous neighbors that were previously conquered, then added to the republic, the conglomerate that is current-day China. I believe even the current Russian Federation, as well as the former Soviet Union, derived itself a conglomeration of cultures and countries which were conquered, things stolen, and then integrated into a whole republic. Whether it's capitalism, whether it's historical empire domination, or social collectivism, you're stealing people's goods. You're stealing people's lives. You're stealing their ability to support their families, their neighborhoods. You're stealing their ability to form any self-government and their own self-government. Also, whether it's by governments, armies, corporations, stealing seems to have led, or is now leading to, soon, food insecurity, homes insecurity, civil behavior insecurity, and ultimately a general hopelessness type insecurity or pessimism. There's an insecurity for people in providing for their own family. Now, if you want to look at basic capitalism, for example, in the moment, what's the aim, the overall aim? What's the ultimate implied goal of capitalism? Well, there can only be one winner, the owner of it all, whether it's a monopoly or a mega conglomerate or a conglomerate of corporations, sometimes even a country, a specific country. Sometimes business entities become more powerful than government or countries because of their own asset wealth, their investment power, and their employer influence over a country or number of countries. It's encouraging recently where at least the EU, the European Union, is trying to legislate some ground rules on things like groceries for food security. I think there needs to be basic accountability because I feel like we're falling away from basic business morality or barter or basic commerce logic like we had in the old days. Capitalism still relies on consumers, but if you fully starved out the consumers, how do you hope to carry on in expanding your business? once you've bled out all the budgets. Trade relations wither, stagnate, resentment sets in, and wars happen again. There's very little room left for balance these days. There's an ever-present lack of balance, which leads to a lack of morality and sense of fairness. There's no longer a treat your neighbor as you would have them treat you philosophy. It has now become more one-sided, and a more what can I get for myself as I'm stepping on the throats of my so-called neighbors that I'm exploiting, but also trying to pretend to help with my valuable products kind of attitude. Some might go to the extreme of just calling it parasitism. Business, behaving more like a virus, just destroys and consumes the resources of the healthy body. What actually happens to viruses after their host is weakened to the point of death, and all health or resources are now gone? Viruses themselves will starve out. Very one-sided approach to the barter, to the back and forth. It seems like we're living more and more in an all-or-nothing world that's devoid of balance. It also seems that we're in an unbalanced period of time filled with apathy, where there's a tolerance of cruelty, a willingness to continue to accept job slavery despite our better interests, our best interests. My hope is that people finally accept and assume the position that they become more independent, more self-sufficient, more trusting of their own inner intuition, question everything. Trust, love, and heavily invest in the love of yourself, your own soul. Once you are whole, you can then share and help others toward that global goal. Be more willing to give up on all your codependencies, whether it's codependency on weak relationship, codependency on some huge food or grocery conglomerate for your food, codependency on shady lawmakers or poor, inept city planners. If you're looking for an elusive sense of fairness or even vindication, be more willing to take on responsibility of your own life, because no longer is anybody going to do that for you anymore. And I don't even think that there's many people left that are qualified to do that. You need to participate. You need to assume more self-sufficiency. You need to trust your valuable intuition. Trust your eyes. Trust your ears. And trust in your inner sense of knowing when someone is not telling you the entire picture. We're reaching a time now where you have to discover in yourself a sense of a greater purpose in this life. You need to form a higher sense of yourself. Hold yourself to a higher standard for yourself, for your family, for your neighborhood. There's no longer any big government that's going to come and rescue you from every crisis in your life and enforce fairness. Become better for your soul, for the collective of souls above and below here on earth, because nothing we do here on earth goes unnoticed. You will be brought to account at that revealing life review that all near-death journeyers warn us of. Accountability comes, whether immediately or whether in this life, whether in the afterlife, there can be no secrets. Everything is noticed. Ancestors and Creator, if you believe in Creator, see everything. The spirit world, the energy above or within, sees everything. If we're all made from this same energy of the same soul source, then you will be returning to that same place that you and your ancestors come from and end up in. Souls are observing us and our behaviors right now, people. You cannot believe that you are separated from reality, from continuity, from history, from your ancestry. I think we're all realizing that we are what we allow ourselves to be day to day. Do better. Coexist better. I think we can see the latest trend is towards a group abdication of responsibility and morality. It's easier to just try and be anonymous, to hide yourself within a group in order to simply get along. Even when you know the group is insincere, behaving selfishly, or behaving immorally. There is no innocence in complicity. Ancestors know this, and they see this. And just because your face won't appear on a security camera from some mob doesn't mean that the souls above the universe cannot see what you're doing. Your accountability may not come today, may not come tomorrow, may not come for a while. The law may not even catch up with you at all, but your ancestors see it all. Souls and source above see it all. True judgment and shame will come when we're all in the presence of our family, our ancestors, in the kingdom of souls that we'll be going to, because we don't live forever, correct? So, ask yourself, what have you done with your family name, your family's dignity, your family's bloodline? Have you elevated it? Have you denigrated it or shamed it? What are you actually doing with this human life, this time-sensitive, this time-limited gift? When promoting and integrating your bloodline into the greater whole of souls, what energy do you carry? What is your sense of right and wrong? Is it your sense? Is it your leader's sense of right and wrong? What objectivity have you allowed yourself to embrace, to hold? Is there a right and a wrong for you? Do you expect your neighbor to treat you the same as you would treat them, and vice versa? And putting aside any kindergarten approach or notion to life, what do you expect will happen if you were to pull a child's hair or slap someone? A sane and rational person would expect that you're going to get the exact same back from that person. How could you believe otherwise? Are you going to lie to yourself about the reality? Are you going to deceive yourself? It's time for a bit of reality check, if you ask me. The worst lies that can happen in life are the ones that you tell yourself, especially when you tell them to yourself in the face of the evidence to the contrary. And it is certainly a shame and a tragedy when you resort to lying to your neighbor, but it's also, it's almost treasonous when you lie to yourself. Perhaps it's just time to start separating yourself from other lower moral people, that we find ourselves immersed in, those people you find to be fake or lost or angry, those who know very well how to condemn, how to point a finger, point it outward, but don't even bother to look at any sources in the issue, those who don't even try to contribute to a positive solution. It's easy to condemn. It's easy to find fault in the world and in people. You can even find fault in your ancestors, the past souls above. But that's not going to save you, nor will you find any real answers in blame. You have responsibility now for your own life. Free will. And I do believe in the concept and the existence of karma. If you put out good energy into the universe, or here on Earth specifically, especially towards your neighbor, you will see it returned back to you, sometimes tenfold. Especially if you're doing it without any expectation or without any ulterior hope or benefit in mind. It's very difficult not to be negative, especially these days where people are not holding themselves to their highest morality, their highest functioning, their highest civility. All I can suggest is be yourself, be more independent. If you see something, say something. If you say nothing, you just become part of the problem. You don't even have to be aggressive or confrontational to address the obvious issue in everyone's mind. And don't allow any other person to speak on authority for you. Speak in singularity. Demonstrate your perspective, your perception. In this very basic world of duality, of basic light, dark, hot, cold, love, hate, it's all a perception. You only see what you expect to see if you don't challenge your belief. You will never see different. Realize different. Yes, there are 3 dimensions, up, down, sideways. It's a 3-dimensional world, but you could notice that there's much more nuance when you open your eyes and your heart. You will find that there's very little in life that's actually dual. Love, hate, right, wrong, these are actual gradations of these poles from side to side. There are many shades of gray, gradations of dark, black through white, many tinges. And if I may be so humble as to suggest, try listening to the intent of the words you or your friend use, or that you hear when you're having conversations. Or you might even be just listening to some other 2 people's conversation. Sometimes the words used don't have much meaning or power, meaning they're a distraction, used for distraction. And sometimes the intent when speaking that word says double, has double or hidden, even multiple meaning. Note the choice of the word and how it is employed behaviorally. What is the speaker revealing behaviorally when they're speaking the word? As a wise friend of mine once said, he had a phrase that went like, we listen to the intent of the speech, not the content, or vice versa, the content, not the intent. There's 2 different things. There's the literal and there's the implied meaning when speaking or hearing someone speak. And I think we live in this heavily emotion-based and embellished world. There's feeling that's attached to everything. That's how we exist, mostly by emotion and experience. Unfortunately, feeling is rarely balanced. And balance can actually lead to more objectivity, to more clarity. Emotion, as well as eyes, are in balance, can usually see nuance. And there's usually more than one parable that can be actually taken from a story if you'll look deep enough. Sometimes even opposing parables, storylines. If you look deep enough, you might even realize there's hypocrisy playing out against each other. So, buried deep in this world, in this existence of emotion, can be a self-deception, of lying to yourself out of convenience, even lying to yourself for self-victimization, lying to yourself which rationalizes ill intent, ill behavior, antisocial behavior, and can even lead to repeated unproductive solutions. It might be worthwhile to ask yourself, why am I lying to this certain group? Is it to hide my importance? Is it to dilute my importance? Is it to dilute my responsibility? Does it dilute my obligation to think fully and clearly? Is it easier, more convenient to have certain friends to feel a part of something as opposed to standing on your own beliefs? Are you perhaps a bit codependent? Are you capable of being a free thinker? And if so, by choice, why not? Do you value your own opinion? It could be just as valid as anyone else's if you gave it some thought. Do you love or trust in yourself and in your experiences? Do you like who you are? Do you consider yourself a good person? Do you tend to be more of a follower? Or could you be a leader in some way? Do you attempt to make an effort to understand someone else, or make the effort to be understood by someone else? Do you find any benefit in understanding? Do you believe in truth? Do you believe in fairness? Do you believe in oppressive groups? Do you believe that might always makes right, regardless? Do you somehow understand that? Have you somehow understood that life cannot be contained forever? Have you come to understand that, say, water on the one side of a dam, the wall of a dam, will eventually wear through and break through out to the other side? Statistically, or on the law of averages, movement of that water will occur at some point. There are very few things in life that are 100% for certain and solid. Even faith. We are human beings on this planet, subject to feelings, fears, wishes, and unfortunately feelings of isolation, feelings of wanting to belong, feelings of wanting to be part of a community, sometimes feelings of wanting to belong to something bigger than ourselves. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's more correct than ourselves or more important than ourselves, though. I think the most valuable things in life don't actually cost anything. like when just smiling at some stranger who seems in distress at an airport, or at a child who's crying because of fallen ice cream scoop. The small things in life can be more compactful, important. Or it could be like when you're buying coffee for that fireman, or a cop, or an EMT at the cashier counter, as a way of just saying, thanks for all you do to keep us safe. Doing generous things just for the sake of being kind. No reward. Just providing a ray of hope to someone who's not expecting it. Now, they might not even deserve your good gesture, but you'd be surprised on the effect a little positivity makes in anyone's day. It may give them a change of heart when somebody does something nice for them at the right moment. And sometimes you'll be very surprised just how something so little will lead to something very personally rewarding. And I don't mean material for you. It just adds or takes away from the overall karma. And I seriously do believe karma exists big time. We are all connected. We are all from the same energy. We all have the same molecules. We all have the same materials. To some degree, we have the same location within this universe, this planet. We are not that separate. We are more like bees in a colony, or cells in a body, a soul body, if you will. So, think about your neighbor. When you do something to your neighbor, you're actually doing it to yourself. There's very little separating you and your neighbor in an energy way, in a molecule way. Anyway, I thank you for dropping by and listening to a couple of ideas. Hopefully something I've said sparks something within your mind, but more importantly, deep within your heart, in that spiritual or soul level place, wherever our souls are located. Hopefully it opens up within you the ability to participate and feel part of your community, part of this energetic kingdom, this collective of souls. Also, just as you should be kind to your neighbor, don't forget to be kind to yourself. How you treat yourself is going to reflect how you treat others while we're on this great stage play of life that we're here to live. How you treat yourself is a blueprint for how you perceive and how you react within this world, within this lifespan we're allowed. Learn to love yourself for your shortcomings, because they'll teach you something in this particular life, this round. Also, love yourself for your abilities as well as your shortcomings. Love yourself for your abilities, because not everybody is you. Not everybody has your talent. And sometimes to not use your talent is not only tragic, but it can be selfish to the greater collective of souls that we are here. We all need each other. We all need each other's skills. Forgive yourself for the mistakes, the bad choices made in the past. Seek actual forgiveness from yourself when you feel the need to. You can do things to yourself and hurt your own feelings, your own psyche, in as much as you can hurt your friends or your dog or your relatives or whatnot. Seek forgiveness from yourself where needed, from your neighbor or your ancestors, from Creator if you like. But most of all, forgive yourself so that you're not shackled down with regret, despair, or a small vision, a myopic vision, a tiny tunnel vision in life. Proceed always with a sense of love, Realize that everyone is different, whether you believe in reincarnation or not. You might just have to come back to relearn a lesson that you haven't quite learned in this life. And it's not a bad world, but it's a harsh world, and it's something to think about. How many lessons do you want to learn? How many do you have to come back to learn? Because ancestors are seeing everything that's happening. Be for yourself everything that you have not been able to learn or get from someone else. Be that for yourself. Hold yourself high. Realize your worth. Realize your yet unachieved, yet unattained potential. Don't stand in your own way. Create as much openness and opportunity for your continuing future. So, okay, I think I'll just leave it there, and I thank you for your attention. And if you care to contribute some of your own thoughts, be kind, and amen. Be well, everyone. Bye-bye.